Welcome back to Lights Camera U. I'm your host, Maxwell Bentley. Today, I am interviewing Einat Shinar. She's the founder of Food for the Body and Soul. She was formerly a teacher, but now she coaches women who are in midlife, who are affected by menopause. Einat, welcome to the show. I am really thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and share a little bit of my story and hopefully to inspire other people.
So tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I am currently a nutrition coach, and I work with women in midlife who are struggling with their transition into perimenopause and then postmenopause. I work with women who are struggling with sleep and weight gain and that lack of confidence that comes with all those changes. It's a really challenging time. And I work holistically. So the method that I work in is really mind and body. It's not just the nutrition part of it. I help women with their mindset, with their hormones, with their nutrition, and really also the emotional well-being of it.
You mentioned menopause and perimenopause. What is perimenopause?
So there's actually 3 phases in a woman's life. There's premenopause. That's when a child becomes a teenager and gets her first period. Then we have perimenopause, when things start shifting, nothing is regular anymore. And then we have menopause is just one day. It's the one day since your last period after it's been 12 months. And then postmenopause is anything after that. So there's a lot of confusion. So the majority of women I work with are in the perimenopause phase and postmenopause phase.
So I know previously you were a school teacher for a long time and you ended up coaching. Tell us a little bit about how you came to be a coach.
So I was a teacher for 27 years, and about 10, 12 years into teaching, I had my own transformation. When I turned 40, more or less, I had a crazy thing happen with my body. I was not feeling well. I suddenly gained about 40 pounds that came out of nowhere. I wasn't sleeping well. I felt like I couldn't even recognize myself in the mirror anymore. I didn't realize what was happening, and I had to go through my own transformation. It took a while before I found the right solution for myself. But when it did, and I finally felt good again in my own skin, I was kind of intrigued by the power of nutrition and mindset and what it did to me. And women around me started asking me, how did you do that? What happened? And I really wanted to share my experience, but I didn't feel responsible enough sharing because I'm not a doctor. I wasn't certified in nutrition in any way. So while I was running my after-school program, I went back to school, got certified in nutrition coaching and life coaching, then Reiki and EFT tapping, and gradually built my toolbox so that I could help other women. And that's how I just started coaching small groups one by one until I fully transitioned into coaching and retired from my teaching career.
That's incredible. And that's how a lot of businesses start is you do something, your friends and your family take notice and they ask a question, how did you do that? And I'm sure you were probably pretty well qualified to show them a few things even then, but you went through the steps and you now have this business. How long have you had your coaching practice for?
So it started back in 2019, but I've been doing this full time for 4 years now.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to be helping women who were in your situation, knowing that you know exactly what they're going through, you know how they're feeling? How does it feel to help them reach an outcome that often just isn't talked about these days?
See, it's one of the most gratifying things that a person could have. I can tell you that when I meet them for our consultation call for the first time and I see them and I see myself, over a decade ago, and I know exactly what they're telling me. I know, I feel it, I see it, I'm with them. But what excites me the most is that I know what they're going to look like and feel like in 3 to 4 months. And that's the most exciting thing. And the most gratifying thing is 2 weeks later, getting texts from them, saying, I already feel so much better. I already lost a couple of pounds. My husband said I am in such a better mood already. So it does feel incredible being able to kind of cut their way short thanks to my experience and what I've been through, and just handing it to them on a silver platter, basically saying, this is what you need to do and you'll feel better. You don't have to start looking for the solutions like I did.
Do you work with women one-on-one or do you have group coaching? Like, how do you serve your clients?
So I do both. My favorite is doing one-on-ones because I really get to go deep with a woman and everyone has her own story. It's not just about I need to lose 5 pounds. There's so much behind it emotionally. There's trauma, there's emotional eating, different patterns to deal with. So I love the one-on-ones, but also I have group coaching. I have a seasonal reset where women who just want to reset in 2 weeks show up for the group coaching program. I have small groups that go, through, instead of just doing the one-on-one, they do exactly the same program for 12 weeks in a small group of 5 to 6 women. So it's still very intimate, and they become such close friends. And the accountability in those groups is just amazing. And, people are different. Some just want their own privacy and they want to share with a coach. Other people have to have the support of the group to be successful and sustain the results. So I do both.
Have you ever gotten feedback from a client that particularly surprised you?
That surprised me. I don't know if it surprised me, but some of them are just they're such heartwarming experiences. I think maybe one of the biggest surprises was a client who showed up for coaching having a very traumatic experience as a child and a young adult, which prevented her from even walking into a supermarket and buying groceries. And one of the biggest surprises with that client was that not only did she manage to go into the supermarket, but she sent me photos of a whole meal that she prepped that she had never done. She never stepped foot in the kitchen. And that was one of my happiest moments with a client, like really taking them. It's like a baby step, but it was huge for her. And so I think it never ceases to amaze me how different types of help people need and how I can assist them with that.
Are you the only coach, or do you have other coaches in your business that help your clients as well?
No, for now it's a one-woman show. But if I look into the future, I probably would like to have some interns and teach it so it becomes a legacy, that people use, because the system that I use is something that I've built throughout the years, and I keep tweaking it and improving it. Science keeps, evolving, and I just recently completely revamped my program. So it's always up to date. It's always changing for the better, so clients have better results. And I'd love to be able to share it and teach it to other coaches who will take it and, be able to use something that I've worked so hard on and reach more people.
Before we started taping the show, as we were getting to know each
Mhm.
other, you had mentioned a couple of things, including that women were getting dismissed by doctors,
True.
that oftentimes they were not being taken seriously, or
Mhm.
perhaps they were putting too much
Mhm.
trust in medications that they were being prescribed. Can you speak to the challenges that women face who are premenopause, perimenopause, and what kind of challenges do they face, and how do you help them with those challenges?
It's such a great question. Women, like you said, have been dismissed and quieted down for 30, 40 years. All the data that we get in research is based on young men, 25-year-old. Um, and it really doesn't apply to women in midlife. And women get so much support as, think about a young teenager who gets her first period. Everybody supports her, teaches her, gives her the education. A woman who's pregnant gets so much love and support. And then when you get to midlife, and with hormones, there's so many changes that start shifting. Once estrogen, which is the female hormone, is responsible for over 500 functions in the body, and that starts declining, women start feeling like they're losing themselves. And I've been through that, so I know it's a very trying time when you don't feel like yourself again. You can't sleep at night. You feel all the crazy symptoms from, dry eyes to an itching scalp to sweating during the day, having night sweats. And these are just a few. Weight gain that comes out of nowhere. And people just tell you you're crazy. And what I found from clients who come and see me is that when they reach out for help and they go to the doctor, they just tell them, well, it's part of life. Just deal with it. Maybe take something, to calm your nerves down. And they put them on pills, on medications for depression and anxiety. But that depression and anxiety comes from hormones, from things that you can treat another way. And it's not up here, right? It's the wrong stuff is being treated by doctors. The medical profession has just been dismissing women. What I do is when I see a woman, it's all about providing her the holistic support that she needs. So it's about hearing them, seeing them, and providing the support that they need emotionally too, not just in the nutritional aspect, because I see women like a tree, right? That's why my method is called the tree method. A woman has to have strong roots to be able to serve others, to be like, the head of the family, supporting everybody. And they need a strong body, strong mind. That's how fruit comes, right? Once you branch out and you can help everybody else. If we don't water this woman, that's the tree, and give her everything she needs, she's not going to be able to survive in this world. And so with the holistic approach, when I work on their mental health and we do somatic work to calm the nervous system down while we eat in alignment for the hormones, you don't need medication. And so women come to me when they're feeling like they're not heard or seen. And I look at them and I see myself. It's like looking in the mirror, and I have what they need. And so there's nothing wrong about going to a doctor and getting the medication that you need, but the medication has to fit what you're going through. And that's not what they're giving them. And so that's what I try and do.
Let's zoom in on a woman watching your episode right now. And she was just told that she was crazy. Maybe the men in her life maybe don't quite understand. What would you tell her specifically if you were to talk directly to her?
If I were to talk to a woman like I do every day, I would tell her to, first of all, take a deep breath. And I would tell her to calm down and know that she's in good hands and that there is so much that can be done. And unfortunately, we were never told that. We were never taught that. Like we were never taught a lot of the important things in life. And I would tell her that there is a path that she can walk on starting today, in which I will hold her hand through, and that I've mapped it out. There is a solution. And it's not one thing. It's a holistic approach that can really help you feel better. And I always tell them, you're going to feel like your old, young self again, because it is possible. And it happens faster than people realize, because when you give the body the fuel that it needs and you really touch on what's missing, balance returns. And when your body feels balanced and your nervous system is balanced, things just shift in the most beautiful way, very unexpectedly, but it happens like magic. Only it's science. It's not magic. And when I tell them that it's all in the science and nobody just taught you that, but I've done the research and I've done the work and I've mapped it out, I think I can see the relief on their face. And a lot of the times they think it's too good to be true, because how is it possible? But, once they put their trust in me, they know it works. And it feels so good to be able to share my experience with them also.
Specifically in America, most people take better care of their cars than they do
Than dogs.
Actually, their dogs, than their bodies.
Yeah, I agree.
We would never think about putting ice cream, high fructose corn syrup into our gas tank, but we do that to our bodies, a lot of us do. How important is diet? How important is the food we eat every single day?
It is more important than people realize. Funny how you mentioned it. I always tell people, would you feed your bunny Cheez-Its? No. Why? Because it would die. Then why do you feed your children that? And why do you feed yourself that? Because it's bad for you, right? Our body is designed, think about it, it's our only vehicle for life. And your vehicle runs on a very specific fuel. It would be broken if you didn't. And when you put something in your mouth, that input has to be decoded by the body. When your body gets the fuel that it cannot decode, it becomes toxic. And we are anyway exposed to about 90,000 toxins a day just because we live in today's world. And our body needs that food to fight the toxins and to build itself. So the things that we eat, like proteins, for example, these are building blocks. Think Legos, right? We need those Lego pieces to build our body. We need some glucose for our brain, for energy. We need fat to make hormones. So if we don't think about what we eat and really eat the variety, everybody says, eat the rainbow. Yeah, we have to eat the rainbow because there's different chemicals and different things in everything we eat that the body can take in and literally make something with. When you're putting in the wrong kind of fuel and your body cannot decode that, it's a problem. And these things often get hidden in fat cells. So whatever the body cannot use, it will most often hide within a fat cell so it doesn't have to deal with it. So for sure, I mean, nutrition is probably number 2 in my ladder of priorities. Sleep is number 1.
Sleep.
Sleep is number 1.
And why is that? Why is sleep
Ooh.
number 1?
Without sleep, your body cannot do its thing. So people think about sleep as, okay, whatever, it's not a priority. I'd much rather watch TV. When you're sleeping, your body is not at rest. It's actually working really hard for you. And in fact, there is a chemical called adenosine. Adenosine is released from your brain once you wake up. And as it grows and there's more of it, you become more sleepy. It is your brain's it's in interest to make you sleepy so that it can do its job. So for example, when you're sleeping, you are consolidating your memories from short term to long term. When you're sleeping, you are rebuilding your muscles. You are fixing your tissues. And one of the most important things that happens is our brain gets a deep pressure wash while you sleep, when you get that very deep sleep. And when that happens, the brain shrinks by 60% and it flushes out toxins, which it can never do in your waking hours. Also, the body needs so much energy to heal. Healing only happens when you're out, not to mention balancing hormones. So for women my age, hunger, right? Cravings. That's also controlled by sleep. We have 2 hormones, the hunger hormone called ghrelin and the satiety hormone called leptin. When you don't get at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep at night, the balance flips. So you have more of the hunger hormones in the morning, less of satiety hormones. And what happens to people the next day, not only are they hungrier, but guess what they want to eat? It's not the kale salad.
It's more the same stuff.
Yeah, so that's just some of it. And to me, sleep is one of the first things that I teach my clients, focus on that. And good sleep actually starts the minute you wake up by stepping outside and exposing yourself to the sun, which is the easiest thing to do, which already almost guarantees a good night's sleep.
It's incredibly challenging, though, because we live in a society where we have screens all around us. We have TVs, we have our smartphones, laptops. Some of us have little screens on our wrists.
True.
We live in a society where there are stores open 24 hours a day. You can get anything you want with the touch of a button. All of the fast food establishments are not healthy, but I would argue even a bigger danger is the food that is marketed as healthy, even though it's not really that healthy for you. It's the same stuff. It just has a green label on it. So what advice would you give to somebody who wants to eat better, but maybe they don't quite know where to start?
Good question. And it's such a great point. We are being misled every single day. And I see it myself. I mean, if I don't pay close enough attention, if I don't have my glasses with me, my readers, sometimes I'll get something that looks healthy, and then at home I figure out that it's not. I would say do not trust the front of the box, the container that you buy, because a lot of times it'll say high protein, organic. That really does not guarantee that this is a health product. So first of all, read the back label. Always focus on reading the back label. But I would go even further than that. Focus on the periphery of the supermarket. We want it to be natural. So plants or animal products, these are things that we know came from nature. They don't need a label on them. And they're pure most of the time, right? You want to focus on truly getting organic food, healthy food. But if you don't have a choice, then educate yourself. Learn how to read labels. And that's one of the things that I teach. One of the first things is, how do you pick a product? If you have 20 cereals right on the shelf, maybe one of them's good, but how do you find it? So there is so much to learn. It's like a language that you need to learn in order to really know what you're getting. But the safe bet is just eating natural foods, whole foods. That's what we're supposed to eat, right? That's the simplest way to actually do it.
So when most people hear menopause, most people probably immediately assume hot flash.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most common association.
Mm.
But I'd like to ask you, what are some of the maybe more unspoken challenges? Like, what are some of the issues that women face that are not often discussed that you are hoping to shed a light on?
It's such an important question. Thank you for bringing it up. I think so many women, first of all, are not even aware that menopause or perimenopause can start as early as 35. Young women are seeing all kinds of weird things happening to their body and mind, and they have no idea that this could be perimenopause because they think, oh, it's an old woman's thing, right? Some of the things that people don't talk about, it's, yeah, like you said, the hot flashes, the night sweats, everybody knows about. But sometimes it's a feeling like something's crawling on your skin. It's like you wanting to rip your hair out. It's gaining weight out of nowhere. Suddenly, you've always been thin and your belly just starts expanding. And women gain 15, 20 pounds in 2, 3 years out of nowhere, changing nothing about their routine. It's forgetfulness. It's not only walking into the room and forgetting why you came into the room. It's literally forgetting words mid-sentence, which can be so embarrassing for women who, in corporate jobs, you stand in front of an audience and you forget your words. Um, it's so many different things. There's also handwriting. Women start getting menopause handwriting. Your handwriting changes, your voice changes. There's sometimes people report metallic taste in their mouth, ringing ears. So all of these different things you would never think. And I want to ask you, I want you to guess, how many known symptoms do we have of menopause today?
How many known
Yes.
symptoms do we have of menopause today?
Give me a number.
Over 100.
Yes, it's about 102. So it's a crazy number, right? And everybody will experience it in a different way. Um, in addition, think about a woman the average age of menopause, by the way, is 51. So at this age, many women become empty nesters. There is a transition of life where women have their kids fly out of the nest. So many divorces happen because of the changes in the woman because the husband thinks she's gone mad, right? And then you have the other layer of taking care of older parents who are also getting into that phase where they need help. And so a woman finds herself in a place where she either has a career that she loves, or she's just transitioned into a second career. Her children have left the house. She might be, having issues with her spouse. And then she needs to take care of her aging parents. It's such a challenging time of life. And yet, like you said, people do not understand. There is zero support at workplaces. Your doctor just tells you, take a drug. This will take care of your depression. And I think this is where having coaches like myself and having a community of women who understand you and support you, and good friends, community is so important at this age. And I think more and more women are looking for that kind of support once they reach this age because they feel alone.
You mentioned something shocking earlier. You said that husbands were leaving their wives
Mm-hmm.
because they feel like they're going crazy.
Yeah.
If you were to speak to husbands, partners, sons, just people in a woman's life who maybe don't quite get it or they don't quite understand what's going on, what would you say to them?
I would say to men these days, when your wife crosses the 40 line, start getting educated. Because the more prepared you are and the more proactive you are, you will be able to understand and support your wife and protect your family. Because yes, every woman in this life will go through menopause, and they will spend over 30% of their lifetime, sometimes 30 to 50%, in postmenopause. They're not going to be the same woman, right? Perimenopause is a transition. It's the hardest part of it. That's where things start happening. But it's a hump, right? She'll get over the hump and she will be fine. If men don't support the women in their lives and be more understanding and more helpful, divorce will almost be inevitable. And so I say get educated. And how do you do that? Podcasts. There are so many podcasts today that are readily available for everyone. Pick a podcast about menopause and listen. If you're a reader, pick a book. Read. Thankfully, there's so many new books coming out right now about menopause. There's a whole thing of like a movement to promote this and to bring this into awareness. So I think it only takes a person's will to really get themselves educated so that they can be there for their girlfriend, spouse, partner, and it could change everything about the atmosphere at home. I can tell you, I educated my husband. I told him, this is what's going on with me. This is what you need to know. Read this. I would send him videos, YouTube videos, podcasts, so he could listen and understand what I'm going through. And we've managed to make it through. But I think, it's such an important question because people need to know. Everybody needs to know that women are not going crazy. It's a natural process that we are going through. It was just never talked about.
You have a wealth of knowledge on this subject, and I can tell that you're very passionate about it and that you want to educate as many people as you possibly can. What do you think is next for you in terms of your personal brand, your business, and the coaching you do?
Yeah, so up until now, I've been doing most of my coaching online. Since COVID, I've transitioned. I did have a brick and mortar place where I coached women. For the last 6 years, I've been doing this virtually. Now, in the last year and a half, I started coming back out, going out of my shell and doing some workshops, in-person workshops, in addition to what I've been doing virtually. And this year, I'm building collaborations. So I'm intentionally going into networking events, meeting with more people in different places in the wellness world, and creating these collaborations so that we can put together events, workshops, retreats for women to come together and not just hear from me, but hear from other people who are in the wellness world that can help them. And so my dream is to create a big community of women supporting women so that women really have this haven to come to and get the support that they need, both, nutritionally, in mindset, and in their emotional health.
And if you could go back to when you first started to experience premenopause yourself, what would you share with yourself? Not just what to do nutritionally or exercise-wise, but what would you tell yourself just in terms of how to deal with the rest of the world who's trying to make sense of what you're dealing with?
I would probably tell myself, calm down, use all of those somatic exercises that you know, and deal with the nervous system first. I've learned sometimes the hard way that if we are not regulated, our body just cannot function. Most of us live in fight or flight, probably 90% of the time. And when your body is dysregulated and you're in that place, your brain thinks you're at war or that you are in, great danger. When you come from a place where you know how to regulate yourself, everything seems easier. Everything becomes more manageable. You can articulate yourself better when you are standing in front of the doctor. You can articulate yourself better in front of your spouse, and you can absorb information so much better. So I would say start regulating yourself, and if you don't know how to do that, find someone who can help you. Do not rush to the doctor first. Go find a friend who has been through menopause, or find a coach who knows what to do, and talk to them and get the guidance that you need. Don't panic. And please don't think you're going crazy, because you're not. And I think women need to know that starting age 35, if things start feeling weird, just find the help you need. Start with a deep breath. That'll already make you feel better.
Very sound advice. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
We typically wrap up Lights, Camera, You with a question of what is the price of business success? However, we haven't really talked about the business side of what you do because I've just felt like this is a much more important conversation to be had. So what I would like to ask you instead is, what does success look like for your clients and the women you serve? Where are they now? And what is the outcome that you help them reach? What does life look like for them after they work with you?
It makes me really excited to talk about this because this is what I live for. This is what I wake up in the morning for, right? So a woman that comes to me, most of the issues that they deal with when they first call me is weight gain. They can't recognize themselves in the mirror. It's like I said, that 20, 40 pounds that they've gained out of nowhere. The second thing is not sleeping well. Waking up at 2 a.m., not being able to fall asleep. First you get woken up by those hot flashes, then it's almost impossible to fall back asleep because your brain starts analyzing and trying to solve all the world's problems. In addition, that anxiety that won't let go, that lack of self-confidence, not fitting in any of their clothes. A lot of them just skip social events altogether because they're ashamed to get out of the house. So the transformation that happens is, one, they lose the weight. They make peace with food. They feel such comfort knowing what to eat. They know when they go to the grocery store, there's no guessing. They know what they need to pick up. They know what they're supposed to be eating. They're even planning for the next week, so there's less stress, right? They seem more calm because they learn how to regulate themselves. I make it a point to start every session with some kind of a somatic exercise. I'm an EFT coach, so we either do EFT tapping or we'll do breathing exercises or other somatic exercises just to bring the stress down. When you're not stressed, you absorb more. You can be present in the session, right? So they seem way more relaxed and they lose most of the symptoms. They sleep better. I love the text message. I slept through the night for the first time in years, right? They're much happier and they're just so grateful. And there's less worry. And they always tell me, I love my body now. Like, I'm aware of my body. I'm a much better listener to my body. And I know what it needs. And when I know what it needs, I know what to feed it. I know the fuel that my body needs. And that just makes me so happy. They just become happier, healthier people.
That is incredible. And I feel like I can talk to you for another hour. I love
Same here.
everything that you're sharing. This is so important. And it's one of those things that is not talked about enough. And if it's talked about more, then we would have the support.
I agree.
Women would have the support that they need. And so thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
your story and everything that you're doing. I feel really, really honored to have the opportunity to just talk with you and learn about what you're doing. And I'm very, very excited for you and for what's next for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for allowing me to share this so other people feel more empowered, because I think that's the most important thing, that we're all empowered in this world. It would just be a better place.
Well, if you'd like to learn more about Anat Shinar, you can visit her website, foodforthebodyandsoul.com. I'm your host, Maxwell Bentley, and this is Lights, Camera, You.